Hi everyone, this is my first long-form video in a long time, and I think I'm getting into trying and talking about different topics on this channel. So, the topic for today is art regression, and I think artists often get a lot of hate for perceived art regression that I think is often really unwarranted. So, in this video, I hope to provide some reasons why someone's art might seem to have gotten worse, and what you can do about it, both as a viewer and as an artist. So the first point I want to make is just being in a tough life situation. Like, this is a pretty wide spectrum of things that could be happening to you, both in and outside of your control. Some reasons could include health issues, just not having enough time to draw, being overworked, losing a loved one. There are just so many factors that can play into someone's ability to create art. The most notorious example of this is with the Puppy Chan situation a few years back, where I'm not going to go into depth about the situation, but essentially they were on social media from a very young age and had a lot of problems going on with their personal life, which caused them to take very extreme and harmful actions. You can watch some other videos for an actual recap of the situation, but art-wise, the main idea was just that the more recent art at the time ignored more art fundamentals and was less visually interesting overall than their previous art, as most people would say. I'm really not trying to condone any of his actions in this video, but this is just an example about how your mental state can really affect your art. Like, some people think that all artists have to be doing really bad mentally so that they can make good art, because so many artists throughout history have been suffering, but that's really not the case a lot of the time. Sometimes things are going really badly for you and you make good art, but sometimes things suck and then you get nothing out of it. Another less extreme example is with Lavender Town. A few months back, I think, she made a video doing Has-Been Hotel redesigns, and I remember she got a ton of hate for that video. I think it's because you can kind of tell that the designs seemed a little bit rushed and didn't exactly follow the lore of the characters. But a crucial detail a lot of people weren't considering was that she was going through a really bad life situation at the time, where she hurt her back doing 2 long hours on her comic, I think, and she was also sick, and she just received some scary information about her family member. So she just wanted to get the video out quickly so she could have an upload that week, which is understandable. I'll link her video in the description so you can see it for yourself. This sort of ties into my next point about how the art industry treats artists and how it affects what they make. Of course, as we all know, on social media you're encouraged to post as frequently as possible, which can really lead to burnout. Similar to this is when you're under contract or employed by someone and you have an extremely short deadline. We can see this most often with the manga artists. For example, Gege Akutami, the creator of Jujutsu Kaisen. A lot of people say that the art later on in JJK is worse than at the beginning, where in the newer chapters, his brushstrokes seemed a lot faster and looser than in the earlier chapters. I quite like this style, but a lot of people say that it looks rushed, which I sort of understand their point. I think Weekly Shonen Jump definitely had a massive influence on this, because of the pretty inhumane schedule of weekly serialization. I think his editor also told him that JJK should be set in a school setting, which Gege didn't really want. This happens to creatives a lot, unfortunately. This is even aside from the fact that Gege had to have an emergency surgery on his appendix. That was also why chapter 262 was so short, which kind of ties back into the first point I made about physical and mental health issues. All of these factors are really interconnected. I want to move on to my third point, which is a shift in the art style. This one is more about how others perceive your art and how you perceive your own art. I think in general, people really need to let go of the idea that more detailed or more realistic art is strictly better than simpler or more stylized art. You're absolutely allowed to like someone's previous art style more than their current one, but if they genuinely enjoy drawing with their new art style that maybe you like less, it's not really a huge problem. I say this because a lot of times people use art regression as an excuse to bully and harass artists, especially on TikTok. If you want to leave a respectful critique of their newer art, then that's okay, but you really need to ask yourself if it's just that you like their old art style more than their new one. Because an artist changing their style isn't really hurting anyone. This can really discourage artists from trying out new art styles or new mediums because they're not necessarily going to be as good at it as the ones that they're familiar with. And saying that it's a regression can really discourage someone from trying something new. I'm not trying to say that art regression doesn't exist in this video. I'm just trying to say that there are so many other factors that could contribute to someone's art not looking quote-unquote as good as it did before. And immediately claiming that an artist has regressed because they made a few bad pieces, or they're under external pressure or going through a bad life situation, really isn't helpful at all. That's about all I've got to say for this video. I apologize for the bad audio quality, by the way. It's because I don't have a mic. Thank you for tuning into my first long form in a while, and all my socials are linked in the description. See you next time!